So, we have, when it comes to political participation, we have civic participation. We want to influence the political landscape. We want to join movements. And of course, we want to join, in the policy making process. So now that we have set the tone for that, I want to talk about your personal journey towards political participation. So at a very young age, what interests you to actively participate in politics? Because not a lot of people your age are interested in politics. So can you briefly share your journey? Were you a leader back in school? Was it community based? So yeah, maybe we can start with Miss Ninyay.
Well, for my personal experiences, it is very funny, I think, because I cannot deny the fact that I am being influenced by a family engaged. Yes, we are very politically engaged. My mother's side and my father's side, so both. So at my very young age, well, I'm just 22, no? So I think that interest that really make me really actively participate in politics or in a political world is that maybe I'm just very, I love middling. I love being I love being engaged with the community. I want to speak out. I want to influence. And I still remember when I was in my elementary days and in high school days, I'm very fan of that supreme government or the student body. I love running on that. And when I was high school, I realized that being muse, being called as the muse in a candidate of a certain classroom, I tried to shift on that position. I want to be a president or a class mayor. So that thing that really motivates me to really uphold that decision or that engagement in a certain school. Yes. So basically, when I was in my third year and fourth year high school, I tried to run as the president in an entire campus, and I was elected as the first president of the entire history of that school campus. And I'm very happy for that because I really saw the influence of a young women. I really saw how they gave impact. And yeah, I'm very proud of that since I think that is the realization which made me really move that women can really innovate projects. Women can innovate and have a creative programs and activities that for the engagement of the students' welfare. So my journey is very, I know, very simple, but it is very important because in our context here in the Philippines, mostly in Marawi or particularly in Lanao del Sur, we are trying to move or we're trying to really influence that young children or young people, female or girls, should be really politically involved in a simple way that they have to be engaged in a certain issues or a cause or a call in our community. And that would be. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miss Ninyay, for that. How about you, Cheska? What started you on this journey?
All right. So actually, I never pictured myself getting involved in leadership or politics. I'm the kind of person that, yeah, I'm loud on my opinions, but at the same time, I don't want to run for office. That's what I told you about earlier. But anyway, in retrospect, and how I saw me getting here would be, it was because I love communication. I know that my strength is in writing and in talking. I was a campus journalist from my grade school to high school and up until college. Um, and then as a journalist, of course, we write stories. How do you write them without observing them? And so I see I see these stories before me firsthand. That I see the oppression, the exploitation, the violence, the harassment that the minorities, the vulnerable sectors, and the women are experiencing. And that's how I became aware of all these exploitations. And I'm the kind of person that we call in Tagalog, in Filipino, na pakialamera. So when I see something wrong, tawag dito, I cannot sleep at night. And at the same time, I think to myself that I have to do something about it because gusto kong mangialam, kumbaga sa Tagalog. Uh, and so that's when my journey started. Since I'm informed of these stories because I write them, I realized that I can do something more than just telling these stories through our print, through our online newspaper. Uh, and then during high school, I think I started to get elected in our student councils and in our clubs in the school. I actually do not nominate myself, and I don't tell people that I want to run, but apparently my classmates, my batchmates were like, Cheska should run. We should nominate her because she's outspoken, because she's tough, and if she gets bullied by the teachers, I think that she's gonna voice out and fight back. And so that's when it started. And then later on, during my college days, I'm still in college. I'm just 22 years old, like Ninyay. Um, the people around me were like, Cheska, run for SK. So in the Philippines, we have the Sangguniang Kabataan. This is the youth council in the barangay level, the smallest unit of our government. And they were telling me way back 2018, Cheska, I think you should run. It's because you carry advocacies, you carry fights, you carry movements. And a lot of people here just run for SK for fame, for power, and for the money. But then they're like, we know you're not that. And so I actually hated the idea of running for SK or for the youth council because I know that it is a breeding ground for corrupt politicians. That's how we call it here. But then I read the SK reform law and saw that there are reforms and there are safeguards that can hold us accountable if you're part of the Sangguniang Kabataan. And then it sparked hope in me that, okay, maybe I think this is the perfect platform for me to forward my advocacies. It's because I have one foot out in the youth organizations and civil society, and I have one foot in the government where I can push forward reforms even just in our community and in our barangay. And then I ran, I campaigned, and then eventually won. It's a long story, but it was a tough fight. I had no social capital. We're not from a rich family, and I'm not from a political dynasty, but nailaban. We fought for it with the help of the women in our community and the youth here. So I think that's a story of hope that I tell to the young women here that I did not expect to win. I had no money and machinery to win, but then we banked on our advocacies on our platforms and it made us win. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Cheska. Sometimes sinasabi nila, being pakialamera is bad, but sometimes it gets you to a webinar. So yay. So next we have Nan. How about you?
For me, a very young age wasn't that long ago. But if you ask if there's a leader trait in me as a kid, I was elected as a head of the class back in kindergarten and a student prefect in high school. And I was involved with a lot of community-based work. But what actually interests me into politics would be my childhood, as I grew up in the southern part of Thailand, in a very, very small city where I would have to travel over 3 hour longs to another province from my school. And my parents would also have to travel over 3 hour longs to another province to get a decent medications. And a lot of people actually died on the way to the hospital. And as a kid, I always questioned myself why there is such a huge inequalities between small city and big city in terms of infrastructures and healthcare and educations. And those questions actually landed me into a political arena where I wanted to make a difference. And that's how I got into politics and get involved in politics. Yeah.
Thank you, Nan. How about you, Anna?
Yeah, it started 4 or 5 years ago. I need to think. I think it's 5 years. 5 years ago, I was 20 years old, and then started to involve in politics. To be honest, you asked if I were a leader back then in school. If I remember my time in school, I have to admit I was quite shy a little bit. I was not the one who was raising the voice. Actually, this came with my political career, whatever this means. When I got involved into politics, kind of my character changed as well a bit. In school, I was quite shy and didn't raise the voice all the time. And when I got involved in politics, I completely changed. And even my grandmother is telling me about that all the time nowadays. And what made me getting involved are two things, I think. The first thing is, it was at a time where democracy and as well liberal democracy was not a matter of course anymore. You know, like Trump was voted back then in the United States. Erdogan in Turkey was doing things that were not good for the democracy, to tell it in a diplomatic way. But back then I thought, okay, you have to do something when you want to not have the same problem here, because as well we have a far-right party in Germany. Some of you might know the AfD, which got quite big back then. Now they are in the parliament as well. But I think we have to fight for democracy every day. And this was my first inspiration and my first motivation to get into politics. And my second was, some of you said it as well, I think there are just too less women in politics. That's just the truth. I listened carefully to what Ms. Stella said at the beginning of the percentage of women which are into the parliament in the Philippines, and I can tell you it's quite the same or even less here in Germany. So I think if you want to change that, you have to raise your voice and you have to go into politics as well, because I think women, especially young women, they need role models as well, on which they can refer and on which they can, you know, like think, okay, I want to do this as well. And that was my second motivation. I think we need to change this thing in politics quite radically, because like you said as well, when women are into politics or other things as well, normally things turn out quite well. I don't say that men are not doing good. They are quite good as well. But I think we just need more women into politics, and especially as well in the positions in which you really decide something. I think I don't want to be in those positions as well, to be honest. But I think when women are not in those positions, it's not good. So I decided as well to run for office this year. Let's see what we can do here for the Liberal Party as well in Germany. And I think yeah, that's my second motivation. So first motivation to fight for democracy. Second motivation to bring more, especially young women, into politics and to be maybe some kind of inspiration or whatever for others to motivate them to go into the politics.
Thank you, Anna. Well, I mean, no matter the beginning, you know, of this journey, what matters is that we're all here and we're all fighting for the same cause. Now, in terms of that, I would like to discuss your careers, you know, where you are right now. At the beginning, when you were just starting your work and your advocacies, did you ever imagine that it would get to a scale that it is now? I mean, did you ever think that you would be representing the youth sector and the female sector in your respective professions? Who wants to start? Miss Anna?
No. The answer is quite short. To be honest, when I started, I never thought it would end up like that. What motivates me at the beginning was to do something in the topics that were important to me. Education, for example. The educational system here in Germany, I don't like it. So I started and I wanted to change it and write some new things about it and try to get some new creative things into it through the youth organization and then through the party, obviously. But I never thought, to be honest, that I would sit in a webinar with great other women from all over the world telling other people around the globe why to participate and what women in politics need. So for me, it's quite inspirational even to sit just here right now, and it's something I appreciate a lot. I never thought about it.
That's great. How about you, Miss Cheska? Did you ever think, well, you said so earlier that you didn't think you would win, but you did. How has it been?
All right. So first, you asked if I ever thought I would be here representing the youth and female sector. Well, maybe the high school Cheska wouldn't think of it, but then the college one, when I was running for the Sangguniang Kabataan, actually, every time I shake hands with the people campaigning house to house or doing our caucuses during the evening, I was banking on my advocacies, which is women's rights, which are PWDs, persons with disabilities, for children, and also the children, and also the LGBT community. So yes, while I was campaigning and running, I really visioned that I would represent our sector, the female sector, the youth sector, and so that answers that. But then again, way before, I had no idea I would be here, but um my anger towards these exploitations and oppression led me fighting inside the government and also outside. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Cheska. How about you, Miss Ninyay?
For my personal inspiration or my career, I love teaching. That's how it made me as a licensed professional teacher. My experiences, I think do I have to imagine, but I think it is because of the inspiration based on our religion. There's a lot of things that being discriminated to our religion, which is the Islam, that women are oppressed because women is like this and like that. There's a lot of things that they are talking about our religion which oppresses women. And for me, I think I have the rights or I have the voice to showcase that in our religion we are not oppressed, because Islam is really exemplify or really realize or want to have the leadership in women, because the Islam believes, our Sharia or our divine law believes that women are into a leadership. Yes. So in my career as of now as an educator, at the same time local youth development officer in our hometown, I think the inspiration that really represented me, or the moment that I'm trying to represent the youth and female, it is because of such experiences or such encounters that there's a lot of issues that encountered by women, social injustices, yes, oppression, and because I am being so called as very vocal, so I think I have the way, I have the power to really unleash that. And yes, I'm also encouraging our fellow youth to be a voice, yes, to be a voice that could really contribute to our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miss Ninyay. How about you, Nan?
For me, it's a little different. Is when I joined the political arena, it's because I wanted to represent the people, and once their voice to be heard, that's why I joined. And as I mentioned earlier, that my desire of wanting to make a positive change to the country have put me into this path. And even though where I am now is not what I expected, but it's something that I was determined to do.
That's great